Buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we are moving with our next session for today. And the topic is power of storytelling through technology. It's going to be a complete fireside chat. So kindly stay tuned because now we are going to be calling out our moderator for this session. Let's get ready to welcome Mr. Ravi Tangirala. Everybody, please put your hands together. Headmaster Neutral India. Welcome, sir. With this, I also like to request Mr. Shobu Yarlagadda. Let's have you here on stage, sir. CEO and CO, founder of Arka Mediaworks. Very interesting topic again. Power of storytelling through technology. It's going to be a complete fireside chat. So, can we bring on some more energies? Let me see if our audience is all set already. Thank you very much. On that note, over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Shobu, it's a pleasure and honor to be with you.
Thank you.
And
It's a
with a
pleasure to be
wonderful
here.
topic of the power of storytelling using technology. And welcome, good evening. The man who doesn't need any introduction, through multiple forms, whether it is the maker of Bahubali or industrialist, a startup investor, and a big supporter of the ecosystem, and also a person who works heavily into social causes and takes the corporate responsibility to multi leaps. I'm here with Mr. Shobu Yarlagadda, a pleasure and honor. And before we get into the topic, Shobu garu, why don't we start with your journey? We want to know more about what we can find on internet or Wikipedia or Google. We want to know how you started the journey as an individual professional and an industrialist and a movie maker. It'll be great for our audience to know about it.
Firstly, thank you, Ravi, for the wonderful introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. Uh, my journey started as a typical middle-class family where parents wanted to be an engineer. So we made studied engineering, went to US, did my master's. But the thing is, wanted to be an entrepreneur. So worked for a year or two in LA, and then in technology, in media, environmental technology, and then came back home to India to start on my own. Couple of failed ventures in late 90s, including a dot-com company that went down. And then, like unlike most people in my industry, in my current industry, in the media, who come here because of passion, I came here because of necessity. So it was, I was looking for a new venture to do. And at that time, television was just starting. Terrestrial television, the regular conventional television. So the ETVs and the Sun networks and Balaji telefilms that just kick-started. And taking inspiration from that and having some background in the industry through my wife's side, we started a television company, television production house, and that's how our journey started in 2001. And it's been lucky for me, the media industry, and I've been around now 20 plus years, and been got to do some good stuff here.
You definitely told us a beautiful narrative and a story through Bahubali. What inspired you and Rajamouli garu to bring that marvel in front of all the wonderful audience, not only in India, throughout the globe?
So one is so me and Rajmouli have a very good. We've been friends and I mean someone we knew each other and we're good friends and family friends for way back before. Like I said, even before I entered the media, I knew him when he was doing ad films and television TV serials for my father-in-law's company. And we knew each other, we respected each other. And then when we were setting out to make our first film, he was our first director, Maryada Ramanna. That was our first film for our banner, and he was the director. And we had a wonderful experience doing that. And we kind of gelled and bonded together at that time. And there was a mutual trust and respect that we built in that production, which I think especially which is necessary in any field, but especially in films where we work with mostly human capital. I think trust and ability to work with each other is a huge plus. And then we said, why don't we look at combining our synergies into doing something bigger? And that was the genesis of Bahubali, in short, yeah.
Excellent. So we'll actually go over the first topic of our discussion related to this uh, session, the power of immersion. In the age of virtual reality and augmented reality, storytelling has transcended its traditional forms. How have these immersive technologies transformed storytelling, capturing the imagination of audience without impacting the end goal, which is social impact and transformation?
So the immersive technologies have had I think, a very interesting run here. Our previous speaker, Rajat, I know, has hugely been in immersive technologies. And just to add, Anuj was in our first film, Maryada Ramana. So, uh, but I think immersive technologies have had their hype cycles. They have gone up and down and keep going up. And so I think virtual reality, even when we were doing Bahubali, right, 360-degree cameras, virtual worlds, and ability to play within a virtual world is something that we attempted and we wanted to do. And at that time, it was again in the hype cycle, and we even had an intention to open VR booths within each city in the malls for people to pay and play the games. But then again, the cycle came down, and thing. Again, then the last couple of years, I think the metaverses have had a huge upcycle, and there was a huge round of investments in that space, and there was a lot of activity and interest in storytelling in that space. But again, I think that with the Web3 and the cryptocurrency and all that, that has also now come back down. But I think eventually, again, it'll come back up. I think it's a great medium to tell stories, a great medium to engage with. I think it's about still finding the right technology, the right wearables, the lighter. Right now, they're still bulky, they're still cumbersome. They still need very good GPUs and CPUs. Hardware is still a demand. It is a hardware-intensive product. So I think the more and more lighter they become in technology and wearability, I think they will find this thing. The Apple Vision, I think, will be one of the trendsetters. And when they become lighter and more convenient and more affordable, I think we'll see more activity again around that space.
Excellent. Thank you. So just to let you know about a fact, the virtual reality industry is valued around $15 billion back in 2021, and it's expected to be around $160 billion by 2028. So you will probably understand how much money is going into this field and how much importance this field is going to have in the near future.
I just want to add here, I think virtual reality and augmented reality have a huge application outside of entertainment. I think entertainment is a small component, especially in training, in healthcare, where in remote medical care. I think all those, when you're talking about social impact, I know, like when you want to remotely monitor a patient, do surgeries, remote surgeries, handle remote plants, operations, which are inaccessible or difficult to reach, training manpower before they get onto the actual shop floor. I think these are tremendous opportunities, and where a lot of money is going in. Within the entertainment sector, it is still a lot of ups and downs. Yeah.
Very, very well said, Shobu. So we're on to the next, interesting topic of interactive narratives. Interactive storytelling seems to be the future of the engagement. Can you explain us how this approach amplifies audience participation and connection to the narrative?
So again, this is also something that's a very, I wouldn't say tricky, but it's a difficult topic in terms of interactive entertainment, because as an entertainment, as when you consider movies typically, or television shows, or any form of media that is consumed via mobile or TV, it's a very passive media. You switch something on, and then you watch it, and then you switch it off, or at the most you forward or fast forward or rewind. That's typically been the thing. That's how audience has been used to it. Gaming is a different medium altogether. Where the gaming, you make the choices, you make the thing, and you engage with it, and that's a completely interactive and fully immersive experience that is completely different. But when you talk about traditional media, it's been always been passive. There have been experiments in terms of making it interactive, where you can choose options. In Black Mirror in Netflix is a classic example where you could choose a different A or different choose A, B choices, and based on the choice that you make, you'd have a different storyline and a different path. I think that is yet to be fully explored. It's definitely a very interesting medium, but there is still resistance from the audience to actually take it on and make that as a because I think they don't want to. It's kind of whether you want to apply your mind or just want to relax and this thing. So watch the movie. So there will be content that can be made and will be made in the future where you can choose your endings, choose alternate endings, choose different paths, and different kinds of storytelling. And especially that will connect back to your immersive media and AR and VR where you are in the world. So that will be the future, but I think it'll take time to catch on.
As you're saying, by 2020 or 2020 alone, the gaming industry revenues were around $175 billion, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what it's going to be in the future as well.
So yeah,
So-
just the gaming industry. I mean, the volume of gaming industry is more than the combined value of films and books and television all put together. So that's
Yes.
how big gaming is.
Yes, thank you. So our third topic is, transmedia storytelling. The idea of storytelling across various mediums is intriguing. How does technology facilitates the seamless integration of narratives, and what advantage does this offer for a broader audience engagement, especially to communicate messages to the social transformation?
So I'm a big proponent of transmedia storytelling, and I've really loved the concept, and that's what we brought into Bahubali. I think when if you look at Bahubali, it's a whole transmedia experience that we try to build between movies, comics, graphic novels, gaming, books, novels, audiobooks, VR experience, animated series. So it was like a whole 360-degree approach. And it was a learning experience for me when we started doing it, where transmedia, basically what we looked at it is from a paradigm shift in that movie is not the center of it. We have the Bahubali world. I'm just giving Bahubali as an example, but it can be any world, any universe in which there are characters, there's an environment, and there's a dynamics between these characters which form the storytelling. And from that, you can tell a film, you can tell a story as a film as a media. You can tell gaming. You can use those characters to build a game and involve gamers in that, or you can tell the stories as a graphic novel or a virtual reality or any other source of medium that you. So, but the core is this world that you build and that is integral part of it. And movies happen to be one part of that. And that's how we looked at it when we built Bahubali. And I think that's how again, when you look at metaverses and everything else, that's how they all tie in together, where you really use those characters, the character dynamics, relationships, and the worlds and the backstories to tell different stories in different formats. Because what happens is, I might be a film lover, you might be a graphic novel enthusiast, somebody might want to listen to Audible or something else, or somebody else might want to listen to a podcast or play a game. Different people like to engage themselves in different ways. Not necessarily movie need not be one thing, gaming need not be one aspect. So it's how for us, each element gives a different way of entering the world through their choice, through the audience, the choice of that particular audience or fan, how they want to do it. They might just want to read a book and enter the universe and then go and watch a movie. That's how I look. And again, the same social impact. It's how we use this storytelling. Storytelling is, I think, the most effective way to reach a concept, to take a concept to a common man. And in what way do you tell them? Is it through a graphic novel? Is it through a short film? Is it through an audio dialogue? What is the cheaper, more convenient, more effective and it depends on what kind of audience you're trying to reach. Is it an younger audience, younger generation that you're trying to convey something to create a social impact? Is it a rural audience? Should something else, would a short film make a difference? So even in social impact, you have this cause and you want to transfer that, the reason for that, what you want to do, to the knowledge and educate them about something, and you pick what you think would be the ideal way to take it, and that's how I think it'll.
Excellent. Thank you, Shobu Garu. Just to give you another fun fact, by 2027-28, between the books and the ebooks, the market cap is going to be around $178 billion. So we are not losing, the affinity towards the books
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the ebooks.
Absolutely.
So our fourth topic is data and audience engagement. Data-driven storytelling is a fascinating concept. How do storytellers leverage data to trail narratives for diverse audience, and what impact does this have on engagement across the cross section of society?
It's humongous. I mean, it need not be. I mean, it's obvious. It's humongous, and it goes back long time. I mean, even when we were television 20 years ago, when we were doing television serials, TRPs used to be measured, and the TRPs were minute by minute TRP rating, and you knew when the audience dropped off or when the audience peaked, which meant that which track, which character or which track was actually of interest to the audience and which was not of interest. So we would kill a character or bring a new character or extend the character based on what the TRP ratings were showing, and how interesting we felt the storyline was. So it was at that kind of data in those days, a very simple TRP driven data. But now, as you all know, it's like humongous amount of data that is being churned out every day. You log into Netflix, Netflix knows each and every aspect of minute by minute, from gender dynamics to what is holding click to which part of the screen you're watching to, I mean, you name it. I mean, it's beyond mind-boggling the kind of data that is captured and how all that is distilled and what weights you give to different parameters and how you promote a certain content to certain individuals, specifically to certain each and every individual. What you get on your Netflix screen might be completely different from what I get showing up on my screen. That is one aspect. But then also they know, I mean, what is working. Is it a comedy? Is it, how much of comedy to make? How much of a thrillers to make? What is the bigger investment? Is like this giant films, larger than life films, or is it slice of life? I mean, but it all boils down to how effectively you're able to analyze the data and how effectively you're able to interpret the data, and then make a thing. So in one way, it is sad. I won't say sad, but it is kind of restrictive that because Netflix or these big drivers, I won't say Netflix as a thing, but any of these big companies zero in on say that comedy is, I'm just giving an example, comedy is a driving factor this season and they want more comedies. And then that kind of puts kind of a limitation on what creators want to express, or showcase or create, because then they're forced to make maybe more comedies than I may be wanting to do something else, a family drama. But the leaning would be towards a comedy. So there are certain where the audience and the audience viewership is dictating what you want to make rather than what you personally want to make, right? So that is the negative downside of it. But then it's all dynamics that you need to deal with. Yeah.
Excellent. So the most interesting topic in the room, AI, from absolute intelligence to artificial intelligence. What is your take on the role of AI, especially with the new trends, technologies, tools, and platforms coming that will have impact on the human brain power that gets put into this movie industry or entertainment industry?
I think, as we all know, it's going to have a massive and long-lasting impact on how we create content. It's going to speeden up the process. Most obviously, it's going to increase the speed at which you're going to create something. It's going to reduce costs. the cost at which you're going to produce something is going to come down. And it's going to, I think more importantly, more than these two, it's going to increase the benchmark of each and every creator. Because if I'm an average creator, I can push myself to become a good creator. I'm a mediocre writer. I can push myself to become an average writer. An excellent writer can become even excellent. So I feel the benchmarks and the levels at which you're expected to perform will start increasing, and audience expectations also will be set higher and higher. And I think therein lies the challenge where it's where it becomes better, but benchmarks are also better. So which forces everyone in the industry to uh, do bigger and better stuff, right, So I think that's the thing, and it'll also happen faster, happen cheaper. So I think it's not going to level the playing field, but someone, let's say remote, in a remote area, gets access to AI, will be able to faster, better express himself, and he is creative, will be able to express himself much more creatively than people who earlier did not have the resources or were not able to have that same level of this thing. So in that way, it can deepen the penetration, level the playing field, but it's going to up the game for everyone.
Excellent. So before we open the floor for the questions, Shubhagar, is there any topic that you wanted us to touch that we did not touch, that you want us to touch now?
I think you've covered most of the thing. I guess, covered most of the aspects. But one of the things that I most commonly get asked is, how was I feeling on the day of Bahubali 1 release? So, so that's, and yeah, that's.
So let's say we asked you that question, what would your response be?
Yeah, that was the most nightmarish time. For me, it was the level of stress involved and the kind of stakes for everyone was at very high, because we're pushing something to limits that we had never tested before. And I would not, if it went the other way, I don't think I would be anywhere here. So that's been a defining factor for me.
No, definitely, you have exposed the entire, Indians and India movie industry to a different league altogether. And thank you so much for your wonderful initiative to keep the Indian movie in the pedestal of the international, global cinema. So thank you so much. With that, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Yes, Anuj.
So we have next 10 minutes. We are going to be taking quite good number of questions. Make sure that you raise your hand. So yes, we've got already 2 people.
Thank you. May I please commend you on the questions that you asked? It got me thinking quite a bit. Shobu, I have a question to ask of you in terms of an experiment that was done a few years ago on Netflix. These were 2 series. One was Bandersnatch, where the viewer could choose the track of the character as they watched the story unfold. They could choose what happens to the character, what turns he takes. The second was Kaleidoscope, where there were 8 episodes. It was about the heist. It was about a group of people robbing a vault. Now, you could watch the episodes in any order that you chose. You could start with 6, go to 3, go to 8. It defined the story for you. So these 2 were very interesting experiments based on interactive storytelling. And of course, the technology that comes with a viewer sitting at home and choosing what they want to watch and how they want to watch it. So as a producer, what's your perspective on A, the experimentation of this technology in the Indian context, and B, the amount of data that is collected by the streaming service? What's the study that is possibly happening, and what's the reading of the audiences and everything from this experiment that came in? Of course, it's not mainstream today. It was an interesting, play on interactivity. Right. But from a producer's perspective, what would you say?
So I think I watched Bandersnatch. I didn't watch the other one, and I literally played each path. I mean, every time I would go back and then try the other path and see how it go, and then the different permutations. So like you said, it was an experiment, and I don't have access to data as such, but I know from the general thought process and the overall feeling, and the fact that Netflix didn't uh, scale it up across other languages or within that it was not something that took traction. That is my reading, because again, like I said, Netflix is a passive entertainment. You just want to binge watch. You start it on, and they want you to watch the next 8 episodes, till you fall asleep. So it's a very passive, very laid back thing that you don't want to apply external your thought process in the thing, is my reading. And that's where so I think it's not really taken off to the extent that they would. But I think these are some things that we need to keep experimenting, and maybe at some point we'll find that sweet spot between passive and interactive, and that could be the defining thing. The stakes have to be somewhere higher to be more involved. It can't be as simplistic as Bandersnatch, but something more to actually engage, and then it'll go into the gaming stream, the other extreme. So it has to be somewhere between these two. So that's something that eventually, like I said, we might get there, or it might just remain as an experiment.
Do you think it could apply to an Indian storytelling?
Obviously, yes,
concept?
absolutely. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
It is, again, I think the psyche and the mindset, whether it's India or overseas, everywhere it's similar. I think we can try, but I think these are more niche concepts than broad-based, larger audience concepts.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay.
Good evening. So I'm Devika from Cognita.ai. So I have two questions for you. As a storyteller, do you think, do you go by the gut feel, or do you think what appeals to the mass? What makes you choose your story?
So for me, I think primarily it's whether I and me and my partner, or all of us who sit in our thing, connect with the story, and whether it is something that we want to put our name on it first. That's my personal thing. And based on that, then the next comes whether this is actually commercially viable, the budgets work, whether it's revenues work, all that come next. But first is whether we believe in it, we think it's something that's worth telling, and that and it's something that we align with.
Thank you. And the second one is, many people have said that artificial intelligence is a threat to content creators. What is your viewpoint?
I don't think it's a threat. I think it's an ally. It's definitely an ally. And I think it will speeden up the process and cut costs. And it is about how you utilize it. So I definitely believe it's an ally than a threat. Yeah.
So we have a question in the corner. Yes.
Hi.
Can somebody please pass the mic?
Hi, Shobu Garu. This is
Yeah.
Kiriti. Hi.
Yeah.
I would like to know your take on virtual production, sir.
Virtual?
Virtual production.
So virtual production is is definitely something that will be there. I think it's future. We are still in the very early stages. It's still very expensive. Takes a lot of thought and time and planning to get it right. And the upfront investment costs are very high. But going forward, I think it's definitely it won't be the only way we make movies, but definitely one of the main ways, or one of the good ways in which we'll be making movies going forward. I think it's definitely there to stay.
One question.
There's someone there who's been
Before,
writing.
yeah, can-
Sir, you
So-
can go ahead, please.
Can I?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for the insightful conversation. One question for Shobu Garu is, you'll be hearing a lot of stories, right? So if you have to choose 3 best things in a storyteller, what would they be?
In the story, or in the
From a storyteller.
so See, I think see, from a storyteller, it's more interpersonal. I mean, storyteller as a writer or a director, right? If he's a director, one, he needs to be very both writer and director need to be very open to feedback, and be able to judge what to take and what to not take. You know, as you get 100 inputs, you need to be open to all the 100 inputs and then take the one that you think matters, or maybe reject all the 100. But you first and foremost need to be open as a writer and a director. I think that is one that really makes makes a person a good writer. Two is, especially if you're a director, is your ability to work with people. A writer can work in isolation, but a director, as a storyteller, he needs to work and get. It's a collaborative effort. It's filmmaking is the largest collaborative art form there is, and your ability to work with people and get creative people and get work out of it and get your vision accomplished, I think requires a tremendous amount of people skills and communication skills, and that is, I think, the other big factor. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll make that as the last question.
Yeah. Thank you, dignitaries, for just watching me. And I take this privilege and thanking you, Shobu Garu, for giving us the magnum of Bahubali. So, and my only question is, the main dark side of storytelling using the technology is the piracy. It should be handled in another way. But what, in your opinion, is the challenging thing for using the technology for storytelling?
With respect to, I didn't fully understand the question. I'm sorry, but what's this exactly that you're asking?
I'm just asking that we use technology for easiest way and best way of telling the stories. But do you face any certain kind of challenges in facing using the technology in storytelling?
Absolutely. There are a lot of, I think technology, as much as it eases up helps in storytelling, also throws up a lot of challenges. Like even simple things like we use visual effects for storytelling, but when hundreds of visual artists are working on things, it's very easy for the product to leak, for visuals to go out of the thing. So the amount of effort that is required to secure the studios is tremendous. So from that kind of challenges to the technologies also provide multiple options. So the creator is now technology can create, like visual effects, again going back to something as simple, can create anything that you want. So that the challenge is, how does the creator or the storyteller take what is needed or really create what is required from the technology and not be carried away by the technology. So the technology is just an aiding tool. It really doesn't really tell the story. So the creating engaging stories requires the storyteller to use the technology in an effective way, and that itself is a challenge. I think, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, on that note, a big round of applause for our speakers, ladies and gentlemen. That was quite a fun session, I must say. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And may I please request Mr. Raghu to kindly join us on stage to hand over the token of appreciation from our side. As an audience, we have a single job to do. Yes, please. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.